And today we're going to focus on kind of the algebraic things. And so if you look up here, it says to simplify. So this is the first part where we're going to start. And this should be reviewed. This should be nothing new. You should already know how to do this. And what's going to happen is I'm going to end up having a worksheet for you to do when we get done. And so in looking at this first one, what do I need to do? What do I need to do on that first one? I got to distribute the negative because this is a minus. And so the important thing is I need to remember that I distribute that negative to all the individual terms. Okay, now when I do that, I end up with, if you notice, I've got a 4x cubed. That's all by itself. I have an x squared here and an x squared here. How many does that give me? Negative 5x squared. Good. I have a 2x and a 5x, which will give me 7x. And then what do I get for my constant? 2. And so that would be my final answer. Biggest mistake people make is that they don't distribute the negative to all the individual terms. They'll just distribute it to either the first or they'll even forget about it totally. On the next one, what do you do on the next one? Multiply 3 by 2. Distribute, so I'm going to distribute the x cubed here and here. And what do I end up getting? X to the 4th, good. And then what? Minus 4x cubed. Right. And so then now I'm going to do the same thing with the x squared. So I'm going to take the x squared here and here. And what do I end up getting? X cubed, good. And then? And what do I get here? Yep. So now what we need to do in order to come up with our final answers, we need to go ahead and look at like terms. So do I have any like terms that I can add? Okay, yep, so I end up having x to the 4th. Yep. Yep. There you go, and there's your final answer. Questions on that? So we can handle adding and subtracting polynomials and then multiplying polynomials. Okay, next we're going to look at dividing polynomials. So now the question is, how do you divide these two polynomials? Ideas? Find something they all go into. So let's look at the top. What goes into all 3 terms on the top? A 3. So if I take a 3 out, I've got x squared plus x minus 6. Now what we need to do here is we need to factor. So I need to factor this. And so I need to factor that top, x squared plus x minus 6. And in order to do that, since my first term here is 1, I look at the last term. So I'm looking for 2 factors of 6 that differ by 1. What are those 2 factors of 6 that differ by 1? 2 and 3. So remember I put my 2 and 3 here. What goes in the first of each parentheses? X. So now is it a negative 2 or a positive 2? Is it a negative 2 or a positive 2? Negative? What about the 3? The reason why it's switched that way is because it's a plus 1x. So you have a negative 2x and a positive 3x. On the bottom, how can we factor x squared minus 9? Okay, that's the difference of squares, right? So you notice they're squares. And so remember how we do the squares? X what? X plus 3x minus 3. Very good. So that's the difference of 2 squares. And so then now what do you notice happens? Yep, these cancel, and that's going to leave me with 3 times x minus 2 over x minus 3. There you go. So that's going to be your final answer. So find the value. Okay, we're only going to cover about half of these today, and then we'll continue on when everybody's back tomorrow. Find the value. So what do you need to do here? Okay, yep, do the factor tree. So what does 72 break down to?
9 and 8.
9 and 8. Okay, 9 breaks down to?
3 and 3.
Yep, and then 8 breaks down to? 2 and 4, and then 2 and 2. So I'm looking at taking out, what? A 2, and what else? 3. The 3s. So really, how much have I taken out? 6. So I'm going to take a 6 out here. So I have negative 6 times 6, which is negative 36. Root how much?
2.
Very good. Plus 4 root 2 minus what? 9. Nice job. So then what's my final answer going to be? Yep. Perfect. Negative 32 root 2 minus 9. Nice job. So that's good. Let's look at another one. Okay. 6 root 49 minus 4 root 144 plus 3 to the negative 2nd power. So what do you know in this problem? 49 is what? 7, 7. So really I end up having 6 times 7, which is 42. Because you can take out your pairs and you're left with nothing inside. What about the next one? What's 144? 12 and 12. Good job. So you can take out a 12, so you end up having minus 48. Plus, what's 3 to the negative 2nd power? How do you, what's that negative even do there? You can't use your calculator. Yes. Makes it a fraction. There we go. So really, in order to make that positive, I'm going to move it to the denominator. So I get 1 over 3 squared, which is 1/9. So I end up having 42 minus 48 plus 1/9. So what is 42 minus 48? Negative 6. And I'm going to add 1/9 to that. Negative 5 and how many ninths? 8 ninths. Yep, good job. Okay, another way you could write that would be negative 50, was that 53 over 9? Now, depending on whatever answer you're given, you know, on the multiple choice, that's what you'll have to answer. Alrighty, I think we've got a few more to look at. These two, and then we're gonna, I think, call it good for today. All right, we just briefly reviewed what the negative exponent means. So how do I make this one positive in a fraction? Flip it. Yep, good call. So really, this is 4 over 3 squared. What do you know that 4 squared is? 3 squared? There's your answer. Okay. So negative exponent, you've got to flip it. Or move it to the denominator, move it to the numerator. So here, on the bottom, what is that problem really saying? 3/5 plus 1/3, right. And so that's just a basic fraction. You're going to add 2 fractions together. So that's all they do. And so now I have to get a common denominator to add them together. Common denominator between 5 and 3 is what? 15. So that means I need to multiply this by 3 over 3 and this one by 5 over 5. What do you get from this quantity? 9/15, very good. Plus how many 15ths? 5/15. So what is 9/15 plus 5/15? 14/15. Very good. Okay. So far so good? We've got one more, and then we'll call it, and then, I'm not kidding, this is the last one,
You've been
sorry.
saying that for a while.
I know, I've been saying that, but this is actually, I can't remember how many I did. So, 2 plus 2/5 over 3. What do you need to do first? Add. So really what I end up getting is I end up getting 2 and 2/5 over 3, but you can't divide that mixed number by 3. And so what I need to do is write 2 and 2/5 as an improper fraction. So 2 and 2/5 is what is an improper? 12 over 5. Now I'm going to write that fraction bar as this, as a division sign.
Times by 1/3.
Times by 1/3. Yep. So I'm going to multiply this by 1/3. So I end up getting 12 over 15, which you've already said is 4/5. Now you're going to have to look because they might not always reduce things down in simplest form. But that's what we're going to go ahead and call good for today. I've got the worksheet I'm going to go ahead and pass out.